The President is going to seize this opportunity by leading the most significant tax reform legislation since 1986. We are going to cut taxes and simplify the tax code. We're going to double the standard deduction. We are going to repeal the alternative minimum tax. We are going to repeal the death tax. We are going to eliminate most of the tax breaks that are mainly benefits to high-income individuals.
We will lower the business rate to 15%. We believe we can get back to 3% or higher GDP that is sustainable in this country.
That's President Trump's top economic members of his team, and they're laid out, as you can see, this extensive tax plan. It's a proposal that would be amazing, the biggest ever, the largest tax reform, in fact, since Ronald Reagan's administration, and the largest tax cut in American history. And yet, over 24 hours later, I got to tell you, there seems to be a lack of enthusiasm from Wall Street to Washington. So what's going on here to help us understand is Tim Phillips. Tim, you actually were at the White House today, or you met with members of the economic team?
Yeah, I met with Secretary Mnuchin and Gary Cohen, the National Economic Advisor to the President. And I think that the plan that initially came out from the Ways and Means Committee that included a border adjustment tax, I think it dampened enthusiasm, Charles, for tax reform. The Trump administration's plan from yesterday that we discussed in more detail today at the White House, it brings back, I believe, energy. It does not include this border adjustment tax, really a consumer tax. It takes the corporate rate, as you said, to 15. It flattens out individual rates from 7 brackets to just 3 at 10, 15, and 25. It's a good plan, a very good plan.
So what do you think the misgivings are? Is it that it might be too bold? In other words, 15% from 35%. You've had some conservative think tanks saying that could cost the federal government anywhere from $3 to $7 trillion. And how do you make that up?
I think there is a little bit of skepticism out there as to whether or not the Republican House, the Republican Senate, and this administration can work together to get something done this big. You talked about Reagan. It took over 300 days for President Reagan, at the height of his powers, having been reelected, to get tax reform done. I do think there's a bit of skepticism. But this is a big, bold plan. I do believe, and we do believe, they can get this done. And frankly, they need to get it done. They need something to get this economy going again. And Charles, you know the way to get out from under these deficits is twofold. Genuinely cut spending. We're going to find out if Republicans can do that this year, if they'll get to a regular order budget on the appropriations process and genuinely rein it in. The health care bill that would actually begin the process of reforming Medicaid, block granting Medicaid, that'll save big money long-term, Charles. We've talked about that before. And then the third element is getting the economy going beyond 3%, hopefully to 4%. And this kind of tax cut laid out by the Trump administration can do that. And you and I know we've been on occasion disagreed with this administration, but on the plan they put forward yesterday, we're genuinely excited about it.
Well, good, Tim. I'm excited, too, and I love the way they're speaking about it, Mnuchin and Cohen particularly. Yes. They're not being hyperbolic about it. They're speaking in plain terms, and they're understanding people's concerns, and I think the key is going to be dynamic scoring, sort of replacing that static scoring and being accepted on the question of deficit being deficit neutral.